Greetings, citizens. Hey you beautiful, creepy human being you, and welcome to today's true crime episode. I am so happy that you are here. I am so happy that somehow in all of this that we're forced to deal with on the day today you and I were able to find each other on this crazy little planet that we call home. My name is Brittany or BRATTERSTEIN, whichever you prefer, and today we're going to be discussing Amanda Taylor. Amanda Taylor was a young woman, and by young woman I mean she was only 24 years old when she decided she wanted to go on a murder spree. And to this day, she doesn't regret any of it. But before we get started, if you have not yet had the pleasure, please make sure to join the Brat Pack by subscribing and ringing the bell. I put out a new video every single week, sometimes 2 a week, and I would love to hang out with you. Yes, you specifically you, but I can only do that if you join the Brat Pack and become one of us. Now, before I get into the details of today's case, I first need to say a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Dossier. Now, if you've been here a while, you're probably familiar with Dossier, but if you are not, or if you are new, don't you worry. I'm going to get you familiar with Dossier. Dossier is a fragrance company, and if you've been here a while, you have heard me for years talk about how Dossier creates perfumes that rival luxury brands, but they do so at a fraction of the luxury price, where most perfumes can cost anywhere from $50 to hundreds of dollars. Dossier's perfumes range from $29 to $49, and they offer bulk deals with up to 25% off, and also free shipping when you buy 3 or more bottles. They have tons of ways for you to save your money. Well, did you know that in addition to their perfumes, they have branched out and created Dossier Home? They have answered all our prayers and branched out to another area of the scent market. And I know you might be thinking, well, yeah, candles. I knew that. And you knew that. But did you know that they also have room diffusers? They're trying to check all of my boxes. Dossier has created room diffusers that are inspired, like the scents of the room diffusers are inspired by some of their most beautiful perfumes. So the one I got today is this bad boy here. The scent is described as being sparkling, enchanted, and youthful. And the scent that it is the Gourmand White Flowers, which is inspired initially by that Flower Bomb perfume that everybody loved, but was like super expensive. But another one, you know the one. And so when you get your diffuser from Dossier, you get the little bottle of, well, not the little, it's a decent sized bottle. Look at that in my fist. You get the decent sized bottle of the scent. And then you get these 7 reeds that you just pop inside. You just pop inside, and then the scent fills up like any room that you put it in, the entire room. And it's just so nice because I feel like scenting your home is such a treat yourself experience that not enough people afford themselves, and we deserve it. We're working so hard. It's just like pampering your senses, and specifically when it comes to diffusers. If you've never had one before, you are missing out because it's the most low maintenance thing that I've ever used in my life. I've had one in my bathroom forever. So basically you put in the sticks, you put it there, and you walk away, and it lasts for such a long time. And I like to keep these in places where, like, you want it to smell really good for a while, like a bathroom, for example, or I guess if you live in a place with like a laundry room or like a garage, somewhere a little on the dank side, pop this in, then the whole place smells good. And it's so easy. And that's why I like diffusers. And again, I've had one in my bathroom for years. Anyways, I have good news, and that is that Dossier is offering members of the Brat Pack 10% off of their order for a limited time. And their website is already so affordable. They have all the different ways that you can save money. So I really don't think you're going to find a better deal out there. So if this all sounds as good to you as it does to me, make sure to click the link in my description box and use the code BRATTERSTEIN at checkout to let them know I'm the one that sent you, and pick up your new favorite room diffuser today. Now, I just want to say a big thank you to Dossier for partnering with me on today's video. It's partners like Dossier that make it possible for me to put out videos as consistently as I do. And a big thank you to you guys for always being so supportive of all of my sponsors. You rock. Don't ever change. All right, guys, let's go ahead now and get into the details of this case. Let's get into this video. So this video is on a case that was recommended to me by 2 members of the Brat Pack named Shadell and Chorus. Hi, Shadell and Chorus. Thank you, Shadell and Chorus. And somehow, it is a case that I had never heard of before, which surprised me because it seems like the type of case that I would have heard about. It's very tragic, and it seems like it was avoidable because we're going to be talking about things like mental health services and their failings. We're going to be talking about drug abuse and failings in that department as well. And we're going to be talking about a woman who was very depressed and was clearly grieving. And I feel like this is one of those cases, which is unusual, but I feel like it's one of those cases where you may be able to understand her motivations as to why she did what she did. But she was also very dark, a very dark person, somebody who was into dark things, somebody who I believe had something inside of her that this just tapped into. And she doesn't feel bad at all about what she did. And I find that to be particularly frightening. Some people do believe that what she did is something that she wouldn't have done in another situation. Like if she hadn't been in such a vulnerable mental state, if she had gotten the mental health care that she needed, that something like this wouldn't have happened, that she wouldn't have gone on to do something so horrific. But if that was true, wouldn't you think that with a little bit of time and perspective, she would see that what she did was wrong and feel bad about it? That's kind of the question. That's the thing that I have rocking around in my brain. And I guess you will have to help me figure out how you feel. Well, you don't have to figure out how I feel. I'm the one who does that, but you'll get to figure out how you feel after I tell you the whole story. So with that, I'm going to tell you the entire story. I read all the things so that you do not have to. And at the end of this video, I want you to answer the question of the day. I'm going to give it to you now so you can have it kicking around in your brain as we go through the details of this case. But of course, I want you to answer once you have something to go on. And the question of the day is this. Do you think that if Amanda Taylor had gotten proper mental health care provided to her when the opportunity was given, that this murder spree would have happened, or this attempted murder spree would have happened? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below after we go through the details of this case. Now, with all of that said, come gather around and let me tell you the story of the murder of Charles Taylor at the hands of his daughter-in-law, Amanda Taylor. Okay, so when I tell you that there is so much to this case, to the point that I was sitting here and for a while, obviously it's like a quick cut for you, but I was sitting here for a while trying to figure out where I wanted to begin with all of this information. And I think where we're going to start, where we are going to start, because I am beginning, is April of 2015, and we are on the Blue Ridge Parkway. The Blue Ridge Parkway is a national parkway and an all-American road in the United States, noted for its, quote, scenic beauty. I have never been there, but supposedly it's very beautiful, with over 450 miles of roads that lead through the Southern Appalachians in Virginia and North Carolina. Anyways, we are here, and there is a white Jeep driving down the road when all of a sudden it makes a turn onto another, even more remote road where there is literally like nothing. There's no homes, there's no cars, there's no signs. It's just trees and nothingness. So the Jeep pulls over to the side of the road, and the girl who is driving the Jeep gets out. This is a 24-year-old girl, and she's holding a gun in her hand. She circles around the Jeep and goes to the passenger side where her friend, this is 33-year-old Shawn, is kind of going in and out of consciousness. He's not in a good place. This girl raises the gun, points it at his face, and tells him how she had used him, how their whole friendship was just her taking and taking and taking from him to get what she wanted. And she wanted him to know that before he died, because she then pointed the gun at his face, shot him in the face, and left him on the side of the road before just taking off. Shawn would soon be found, and it wouldn't take them long to realize that this man that was found on the side of the road was a wanted man, a man that was on the run because he had committed a murder with none other than his friend, 24-year-old Amanda Taylor. Now, prior to finding Shawn shot on the side of the road, there was already a pretty serious manhunt underway. But now they were seeing that she was even capable of shooting her own accomplice. So one of the detectives who was working the case said that he was very concerned with her being out there on the run and very intent on bringing her in, because this officer had already seen one of Amanda's crime scenes. He had been at the scene where Amanda and Shawn had murdered Charles Taylor and had seen just how brutal this was. And now he knew that Amanda was capable of doing this to somebody who was even like her friend, somebody she was close with. So the officer was just like, wow, we really need to bring her in because she is incredibly dangerous. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about Amanda, let's talk about Shawn, and let's talk about the lead up that got us here. So Amanda Taylor. I didn't see much reported about her early years, like as a child. I know she was born to her mother, Marlena, and then according to her, and also according to Amanda's best friend, Mariah, Amanda and her sister were well taken care of by her family. She didn't have a bad home life or anything like that. Amanda said she actually had like a really great childhood. Now, despite this, despite her having a good childhood, nothing notable that was bad, she did get into her fair share of trouble. She was a rebellious teen and a rebellious kid, and she got into trouble with the cops specifically. I guess her and her best friend Mariah both did. And her and Mariah, by the way, are still reportedly best friends, with Mariah actually being the person who runs all of Amanda's social media accounts while she's in jail. And according to Amanda herself, Mariah is just a great friend of hers and even helps take care of her kids now that Amanda, is behind bars. And that's probably because they've known each other for so long. Now, Amanda and Mariah reportedly met when they were 12 years old, and they became quick friends, spending all of their time together and just getting into like a little bit of mischief. Like, for example, in 2005, when they were just 15, they're little sprouts. They ran away, they got caught, they got in trouble. They were just like little rascals. But I'm going to get more into the things that Amanda specifically did, because as adorable as like little teenage girls running away and being little rascals is, also it's very dangerous, that wasn't the only thing that Amanda did. In early April of 2006, Amanda got into trouble and got police called on her for disorderly conduct while she was in high school. And she went to the Christiansburg High, actually. That's where she went. And she was said to just have caused like a huge scene saying, quote, "Fuck this place. I hate this place. I hate you fucking people. I'll kill all of you." And, threats like that are just not super cool in school. Educators don't like their lives being threatened when they're just trying to do their jobs, because, we do see often, unfortunately in America, that like, you gotta take those threats seriously because things happen more often than they should, which should be zero. And it happens a ridiculous amount of times. Anyways, Amanda continued to have issues. This wasn't the only thing. And she kept getting into trouble with the cops. Like again, in 2006, she stole her mother's car and ran away with Mariah again when the cops were called and the girls were located. Both of them were convicted of underage possession of alcohol. Then later the same year, Amanda, Mariah, and Mariah's husband, his name is Johnny. I don't know if they're still married, but at the time that this happened, they were involved in, quote, "a simple assault with each other," end quote, but no charges were brought. Though at this time, Amanda was said to have had, quote, "no respect for our fine police system." So from there, we move on to 2011 when the cops are called on Amanda again. And this time the cops were actually called on her by Mariah and Mariah's boyfriend, Johnny. And that's because they reported that Amanda and some other person, that didn't say guy, I was assuming a guy, Amanda and some other person had assaulted Mariah and Johnny. So the cops came, but charges weren't really filed at this point because Mariah and Johnny reportedly were a little difficult to work with. They didn't want to press charges and they weren't being helpful. So nothing really happened from this. But later this year, that same year, charges would be brought against Amanda because Amanda and two other people were arrested for making meth. And Amanda was found guilty of possessing precursors, which I find very ironic considering what Amanda says is her reasoning for going on and doing what she did and what was the catalyst for causing her to spiral so out of control. So let's get into that. So it was around this time when Amanda was 15 or 16 that she met a guy named Rex Taylor, a guy who would go on to be her future husband, which I feel like something you put together because Rex Taylor, Amanda Taylor, 1 + 1 = 2. And you guys are smart people, but they meet. And again, they met super young. He was 2 years older than her. And once they met, they just hit it off. They were inseparable, with their friends saying that there was just something between them, some sort of chemistry, some sort of fire, and that they really seemed to instantaneously love each other. People who knew them said they were a really great couple. I guess Amanda and Rex and Mariah and her husband Johnny spent a lot of time together with their kids and stuff, and they were very close. Again, her and Mariah are still friends. And she said it was just clear that they were just young and so in love. Amanda and Rex had a lot to bond over, right? They had these shared interests and they bonded over these interests, which were, notably on the darker side. Amanda said that she and Rex just fell in love with monsters and they always saw beauty in what others considered to be dark. They even referred to themselves as the Blacksburg Butcher and the Brunette Bomber, which the Brunette Bomber, if you've heard about this video, you've heard about the Brunette Bomber because that was her Instagram tag. And it was something that people really, really ran with because of what she went on to do, which with some of the things she went on to do and some of the things that she was interested in, I can 100% see how people are being that is a red flag. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I remember particularly saying this in the Zachary Davis video that dark interests does not a murderer make. You know what I mean? When somebody with dark interests then goes on to murder, you want to look at all this and be and maybe some of the things she was interested in, don't get me wrong. Some of them I'm but just being into dark shit isn't a tell, in my opinion, because I am into my fair share of dark shit, but I don't want to go and murder anybody. So maybe I'm biased, or maybe it's Maybelline. Anyways, after the two met, got into a relationship, got all inseparable, it didn't take long before, while still in high school, that Amanda became pregnant, which sounds very, very difficult. Being a parent is hard. Being a mother is hard. Being a parent is hard. Being a teenage parent sounds particularly hard. I waited until I was in my 30s to have a baby. I cannot imagine how hard that would be, but that did happen. She was pregnant, and she ended up actually dropping out of school so that she could care for her baby son, because she had a son first, and then from there to care for her baby daughter, because she ended up having 2 kids. So she drops out of school, maybe to take care of the kids, maybe also as an excuse to get out of school, because she wasn't really like getting it together. Like, being a mother didn't make her want, or I don't know how it made her feel, but her actions did not show that she was the type of person that was like, okay, now I need to get it together because I have kids, because all that legal stuff that I mentioned of her getting arrested and the cops being called, that was all happening around the same time that she became a mom. Now, despite it being clear that the two loved each other, they had their difficulties. It wasn't a perfect relationship, right? Which no relationship is. Social media just wants you to think it's that way. Everybody has problems, but they had their individual struggles, which turned into relationship struggles because they're both bringing their shit into the relationship. And they kind of like had a little bit of a rocky thing. There were allegations of cheating. And so they'd break up, they'd get back together, they'd break up, they'd get back together. But what really caused a wedge between them as a couple was drugs. Amanda said that they were great, that they were like a really happy family, but this happy family was plagued by Rex's addiction. Apparently, according to Amanda and other people as well, Rex's father, Charles Taylor, gave Rex Oxycontin or Oxycodone, one of the oxys, which is not a good thing. Oxys are bad. Gave oxys to Rex when he was just 12 years old, which caused him to get very, very addicted. And this was always a problem in their relationship, but it was kind of like a roller coaster, because she said despite being an addict, he was a great guy and that he was like a highly functioning addict for a long time. But as time went on, Rex's addiction got worse, and it all came to a head when one day, while Rex was on something, he crashed the car while the kids were in the car. And that was like the final straw. That was like that, which is a reasonable final straw to have, right? Like I'm all for being compassionate to people with addiction, but when you're hurting other people or you're potentially hurting kids, a foot has to be put down, right? And that's what happened with Amanda. It was April of 2014, and this is when she decided that she was going to leave him, or rather she was going to have him leave. She told him she didn't want to break up. She didn't want to not be with him. She wanted to be with him forever, but she wanted to be with him forever as a clean and sober and happy person. So she had him leave. And when he left, he moved in with his father, Charles Taylor. I guess Charles, who went by Charlie, by the way, I'm going to call him Charlie. Charlie Taylor lived with his ailing father. I think he was bedridden based on how like the reports were written. And reportedly, when Rex went to stay with Charlie, she told him like, listen, I need you to help me get him clean. I need you to not give him drugs. I need you to not give him anything. I really need him happy and sober and clean so that we can be a family again. But the problem is, this seemed to be the literal worst place that Rex could have gone, according to the relationship that Amanda said he and his father had. So according to Amanda, Charlie and Rex would use often. Like, they partied together as friends more so than acting like a father and son. And Charlie and his dad, the guy who lived in the house with him, were given the drugs, and then they'd sell them. And it was said that Rex would go and clean the house and do chores for Charlie. And in exchange, he'd give him the drugs. And Rex was so addicted that if he didn't take the drugs, he would get like violently sick. And what's weird is that Amanda admitted that Charlie wasn't like an all-around bad guy. He was good to her. He was good to her kids, but he was terrible to his son, Rex. So it just didn't seem like the best situation for somebody who is trying to recover, or whose goal is to recover from addiction, to go and stay. And it turned out that that was correct, because Amanda asked Rex to leave in April. And by the end of that month, Rex would be dead. Rex was found on his and Amanda's son's 7th birthday in the shed on his family's property, and he had hung himself to take his own life. And his father is the one who found him. And I cannot even imagine how horrific that was for him, how horrific that is for his family, for Rex's family, to have lost Rex this way, than to lose Charlie in the way that he was killed, which is a lot. And then to have this whole case happen and to have everybody talking about Rex the way that they did, and that's because Amanda went on to say that she did all of this for Rex. But the fact is, Rex was gone, and her friends, Amanda's friends, Mariah and Johnny, actually found out about Rex being gone, being dead before she did, because apparently Rex's grandmother was their neighbor. So the morning that all of this happened, Johnny was standing outside in front of the house, and the grandma came over and was like, oh my God, Buckshot killed himself. Buckshot killed himself. And Buckshot was the nickname that Rex had from his family from when he was little. And so they hear this. He tells Mariah. Mariah's like, oh my God, like we have to call Amanda. She calls Amanda. Amanda calls Charlie and finds out that yes, this is true. And she lost it. She went into hysterics and she was never the same. It was said that like she just changed, like a light switch went off in her head that day. Mariah, obviously being her best friend, wanted to go over there and be there for her and make sure she was okay. And said that when she looked at Amanda, like all the light behind her eyes was just gone. And that it never really came back, which makes sense because of how young they were when they got together. And they spent, I think, 8 years together every day. And they were so close and they loved each other. They even shared a birthday and they shared 2 kids. And then to ask him to leave and that quickly he takes his own life. I can only imagine the trauma and the guilt that goes into that. But Amanda blamed Charlie for Rex's death because of the drugs. And Charlie blamed Amanda because she left him. Amanda even said that like Charlie showed up at Rex's funeral with a gun looking for her and that he wasn't even allowed to go to his son's funeral because of that. And it's just really sad. Rex had been battling with depression and prescription drug abuse for a long time. And it was said that Charlie provided him these drugs. Johnny, his friend, even said that he acknowledges that it was Rex's choice to take these drugs, whatever he did. Even though addiction is a disease, it was still his choice to continue taking them, but that he wouldn't have had the ability to do so if his father hadn't given them to him and if he didn't have like a constant supply coming from his own dad. So Amanda was pissed and just so sad, but what she went on to do was just horrific. And I bring up Rex, and Rex is going to be brought up more often because Amanda says that Rex instilled in her the desire to kill. She said it was a desire that she just couldn't get over. And her best friend Mariah corroborated this, saying that these interests were more initially Rex's interests that Amanda had adopted, and that everything she did here was just to make Rex proud. Now, that feels weird for me to say. I don't like speculating about somebody when nothing bad has been proven against them, especially when they're not here. Well, yeah, when they're not here to defend themselves, right? Because could he have fostered this and been the one interested? Well, we know, and we'll get into it. We know he was into some dark shit. There's no question there. But is it possible that he made her want to go out and kill? I mean, it's possible, but it's also possible that he didn't. She already had this in her, and that he is a convenient scapegoat because he's literally not here to answer for it. You know what I mean? But, it does matter. It does matter. And I'm still going to tell you all about it and about, what he was into so you can come to your own conclusion, because Amanda says that this is why she went on to do what she did. Now, even though Amanda has claimed that Rex was her motivation, that was her motivation going on to do what she did, his family doesn't believe that. They don't believe that he, helped foster darkness within her. And they actually don't even believe that he is the reason she went on to do what she did. Rex's mother, Melissa, spoke out, and she said that this is very difficult for her. It's very difficult for her to see Amanda and others blaming Rex for what she went on to do because hello, she's an adult. She makes her own choices. And she said that she believes that Amanda just did this for her own personal thing. She's had such a hard time dealing with this, all of this drama, combined with the fact that she lost her son, who reportedly she was close with. She said she spent 4 hours with him the night before he was killed. So all this was very confusing to her because she said he was in the best mood he had been in a long time. And now he was gone and she had to come to terms with that while all this was going on. And she said that she is in counseling to deal with all of this. Rex's aunt also spoke out and said that Rex was a good guy, a good kid who wouldn't have done anything to anybody, and said that Rex loved his father and would not have wanted his father dead, would not have wanted Amanda to do this. All of this was for her and not for Rex. But that's not what Amanda said. So now we're going to talk about what Amanda said about her and Rex and about things Rex may have done what we know that was proven from looking into the case that he, was interested in or did. But it's worth noting that the only person we know for sure that was violent, who had ever done anything violent against another person in that couple, was Amanda Taylor, not Rex Taylor. Anyways, Rex was reportedly, and it has been proven, that Rex was very into serial killers. And not like being interested in serial killers and interested in how their brains work and being a consumer of true crime. And, like anyone watching right now could be described. He wasn't just like that. He was very into like murderabilia, like buying things that like people who had killed people had, things like that. He was also like, he liked them. He liked serial killers. He liked murderers. He posted, dark photos on Instagram and posted like photos of female killers, like Miranda Barber, for example. And he called her like beautiful and perfect and his dream girl. He also posted photos of Jared and Miranda Miller, who committed a mass shooting in 2014 in Vegas, and said that they were like the perfect couple. And those are just a few of the many photos that he had on his Instagram of killers. He had more and had photos of letters he had written or received from killers, because he was the type of person to reach out and try to correspond with living serial killers who were in jail. One in particular was a man named Paul Runge or Runge. I do not know how to pronounce his name. It reads like Runge. It's Runge. And he's actually a serial killer I had never even heard of. Paul Frederick Runge, whatever his name is an American serial killer who sexually assaulted and murdered at least 6 women and 1 girl between 1955 and 1997 in Illinois. Just in case you don't know either, because I was like, I've never even seen this guy's picture before. So this is a guy that Rex had reached out to and become friends with because he wanted to be friends with serial killers. In addition to that, I think he even did like an interview, not Paul, but Rex in 2014, I believe it was, where he was interviewed because it was like a segment on prisoners on death row. And Rex was friends with somebody who was on death row. And I think that was Paul Rung at the time. I don't think he's on death row anymore. I'm pretty sure it was switched to like life in prison. But at the time, he was on death row. So Rex was interviewed about it. But anyways, Rex reaches out to Paul Runge in prison, and the two develop a friendship. They talk often. They develop such a strong bond that Rex actually changes his like Instagram handle and his like social media names to Rex Runge or Runch, because like, they're close and that's what he chooses to do. And they were so close, mind you, that after Rex died, Paul reached out to Amanda and actually sent her $1,000. So like, that's how close they are. And speaking of Paul, Amanda said she loved Paul too, that she considered him to be family, that she knew how much he talked to Rex and knew that Rex would send him like photos of their kids and shit. She had no problem with this. She said he was a wonderful guy, that he was part of her family, that he sent her kids birthday cards, and that he was just great. So it wasn't just Rex who was into this stuff, even if he was the person, because people are saying he was the person who introduced it to Amanda. It was clear she also had these interests, okay? Her Instagram is private now, but she reportedly had the same sort of posts on her Instagram that Rex had, mixed in with photos of herself, because she took a lot of selfies, which we'll get into, were photos of people like Timothy McVeigh, which was the Oklahoma City bomber, or Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, the Columbine shooters. What is with these assholes and the Columbine shooters? It is always the Columbine shooters that these people are so interested in, and I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. Even in this book that I am reading, it's called You Love, or not that I'm reading now, I actually finished it. This book that I read, past tense. It's called You Love Me, and it's the 3rd book in the You series, like the show on Netflix, Joe Goldberg. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I watched it. Well, the book that I read is called You Love Me. It's book 3, so it's supposed to be like season 3 of that show. Low-key, high-key. The book actually sucked. The show was much better. It's weird. I usually don't feel that way. But my whole point in mentioning this is I just finished reading this book a couple weeks ago. And in the book, there is like a troubled teen girl. And she is obsessed with the Columbine shooters. And like that's like a point in the book, is like, this girl's troubled and she's obsessed with these guys. Why is she so obsessed with them? And like, I don't get it. Why is everybody obsessed with these dicks? But, some people are, and Amanda was one of them. Her mother said that Amanda's favorite video was the video from Columbine. The video of these kids shooting up their school, because I didn't know this. Because Columbine is one of those things, I haven't actually looked into it the way other people have. It's not like a case for me that I feel like I need to know all the details on. If you've seen my video on, what is his name? James Holmes, the guy, the Dark Knight shooter, you know, I have a hard time with mass shootings. I'm pretty sure I cried in that video, and I don't cry in videos very often. I can usually keep it together, but I have an issue with mass shootings. So I hadn't looked into Columbine like that. But in looking into this, I was like, what is the Columbine video? So I looked, there's surveillance footage from the school that you can like find online of these people. Like, I got chills of these people like running for their lives while they're, you know, being shot at. And it's just horrifying. And this was her favorite video. So that's pretty fucked. And in addition to being fucked, speaking of which, the brunette bomber thing, remember I said it would come back based on some of the things that she did? Her grandpa, in a statement, like an interview, I can't remember what it was. There was an interview, and her grandpa said that he knew that she was in communication with people from ISIS, and said that like 25 members of ISIS reached out to her and wished her a happy birthday. Now, Amanda did address this later, because that's like quite the statement, right? Quite the claim to be like in with ISIS. And she said that like it was true that she reached out to them and stuff, but that people were making it into a bigger deal than it actually was. She said she wasn't ready to like strap on a backpack and go out there and start blowing things up. Her words, not mine, but that she was interested, right? She was really interested in terrorist organizations and had even reached out a bit, but had never heard back. Now, here's the thing. I don't think that makes you sound any better, Lady Girly Pop, because here's the thing twice. If your only reason for not joining ISIS and being a terrorist is that they didn't hit you back up, your intention was there, my guy. Your intention was to do things like that. What if they had written back? What the fuck? Like, ma'am? Amanda? God. It's just clear that this girl was troubled. She was heading for something bad, and that nothing was done to stop it. And it was just going to get worse. So Amanda said that her and Rex were obsessed with the movie Natural Born Killers, which is another, this is going to be a hot topic. I think I mentioned this in another video, but I can't remember for sure. That's another movie that I think is not good. I'm sorry. I loved it growing up, and then I rewatched it as an adult, and I was like, damn, Quentin Tarantino's name really is on this, and it's not good. I'm sorry. But anyways, the fact is that, you know, Ashley, that's not even her name. Amanda and Rex were obsessed with Natural Born Killers, and were obsessed with the idea of going on like an in-love couple's murder spree, but they never got the chance. And she said that she still wanted to, but now Rex was gone, so she was going to need a new partner. And this was going to end up being Shawn Ball. Now, Shawn was Amanda's friend, and he was the roommate of Mariah and her husband, Johnny. He actually lived in their basement, and he was in love with Amanda. He would have done anything for Amanda, but she didn't like him at all. According to Mariah, she actually hated him and just used him as a pawn. He was around often, right? Because, you know, she's Mariah's best friend. He lives in Mariah's house, and she'd always put on a show, right? She'd act nice to him, and in exchange, he would do so many things for her. Like, he had a car, he'd go out of his way to help her and drive her around, all while she told her friends that she did not like him at all, but she did like that she could, quote, control him like a dog. So even though she didn't like him at all, she kept him around for the convenience factor. So now we're moving forward in the timeline here, and we're moving forward to 1 week before the murders. And this was March 27th, 2015? Yes. And it's on this date that Mariah, Johnny, and Shawn were actually hanging out with Amanda because they were celebrating her 24th birthday with her. Her birthday was tough. It was a really hard day for her. This was going to be the first birthday in 8 years that she was spending without Rex. And remember, they had the same birthday. So 3/27 meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to them. So she was having a really hard time this day. So they took her out. They were trying to, show her a good time, get her mind off of things, just let her have fun on that day. And reportedly things were going well. Everything was fine. Everything was cool until Amanda decided that she wanted to go visit Rex. Now, Mariah and Johnny immediately knew that this was a bad idea. They knew that she was already in an emotional state and that going and seeing her husband's grave was only going to make it worse. And in addition to that, with how bad of her mental state that she was in, they also noted that she had like a big ass knife in her purse because Shawn, who was there, celebrating with them, had bought her like a huge knife for her birthday. So she's upset. She's depressed. She has a knife and she wants to go to her dead husband's grave. And they're like, I feel like this is a bad idea. They didn't want to go. They were worried that she was going to freak out, that she may kill them and then kill herself, which is what a friend to have. That's a worry that you have, that your friend's going to kill you and then kill themselves. But they took her, right? They took her. And just as suspected, things got shitty. She did not deal. She wasn't in a good place. So she ends up going to his grave. She's hysterical. She takes out the knife. She puts it to her throat and she says she's going to kill herself right then and there. So they literally had to tackle this bitch at her husband's grave. They had to grab her. They had to hold her arms, hold her legs, shove her inside of Shawn's Jeep and drive her back to her mom's house. So it's about 2:30 that night when they all arrive back at Amanda's mom's house, and the drama ensued. As soon as she was at the house and she was able to get out of the vehicle, all the drama was going down. So they're screaming. Amanda's mom's husband, William, her stepdad, William, comes out and he sees this scene. There's all this drama. They're all in the street. It's Amanda, it's Mariah, it's Johnny, it's Shawn. Amanda's screaming and waving a knife and saying that it's their day, it's their birthday, and she wants to just go be with Rex. At this point, she actually ran. She dipped, but the cops had been called and they picked her up running down the street, and she was taken at first to the regular hospital. And because of how she was acting, instead of going to jail, she was actually taken to St. Albans Hospital, which is an inpatient psychiatric and substance abuse treatment center in Christiansburg. And this wasn't her first time having mental health care crises. This wasn't the first time that she had been seen by doctors for this. I believe she was in a mental health facility twice when she was younger, and she was known to have anger issues. This was not an isolated incident. Amanda has said while she was in this hospital this time, she was clear with the people there that she needed help. She says that she straight up told them that she wanted to hurt herself, that she wanted to hurt others, that she may kill somebody if she was let out, and specifically said she may kill her father-in-law, Charlie Taylor, but that they told her there was nothing they could do for her. Now, I haven't seen anything from the hospital, you know what I mean? They're not going to release that information. I find it hard that somebody would say, hard to believe that somebody would say something like that and they would just be like, can't help you. But also, I know the mental health care system is ass as fuck, so I don't know. But this is what she said. And Mariah, too, has said that, that Amanda clearly needed help and that they had helped her when she needed it. She doesn't believe that Amanda would have gone on to do what she did and thinks that Amanda was just failed across the board. Apparently, even... it's just so frustrating because apparently, according to Mariah, she and Amanda's mom called the hospital while Amanda was there and told them, you need to keep her. She needs the help. You need to do what you can to keep her in that hospital. And they said that they'd try. But did they try? I don't know. They didn't succeed because despite Amanda's erratic behavior, despite trying to take her own life, because she had hurt herself, she had to go initially to a hospital. Despite this, and despite her telling her mom, her stepdad, and Mariah that she wanted to kill her kids who were 2 and 7 years old, after less than a week in this hospital, she was released. And it's rough. It's rough to think about a parent saying they want to kill their kids, but apparently Amanda would say this often. And Mariah said that Amanda didn't say this because she hated her kids or didn't want her kids around. She just wanted her kids to be with Rex. And she thought that by killing them, they could just go and all be together and that everything would be fine. It's just wild to think that all of that could have been happening. And this is a week before the murders. And instead of keeping her, she was just given a bunch of different prescriptions for medications that she'd never even taken before, reportedly, and sent her on her way. They didn't even wait to see how the medications would affect her or anything. And she was just let out. So anyways, she's let out early. And once she's out of the hospital, she decides that she wants to go and stay with her friends. She wants to go stay with Mariah, Johnny, and Shawn. But as soon as Mariah heard this, she was like, no. Her and Johnny were like, no, this isn't happening. And they went to Shawn. They're like, listen, I know that you care about her. I know that you like her, but no, she can't come here. She can't stay here. It's not a good idea. First off, she needs to be in a hospital. This isn't safe. And it wasn't just them. Amanda's mother and stepfather weren't going to let her stay there either. William said that he was not going to allow her to stay in that house. And they had even gone as far as like talking to social services and getting paperwork to have like custody of her kids. So they're like, you can't stay here. And also you can't take your kids because they're with us, which has to be hard considering everything else she was going through, getting let out of the hospital just to feel like you're kind of being abandoned by everybody. And now you don't have your kids. I can see that that would suck. So knowing that Amanda was in trouble and Shawn being so obsessed with her, when he found out, he just dipped. Apparently he was at work like when Amanda called him, and in the middle of a shift, he was like, gotta go. And he just left. He left it. He was at Applebee's and he's like, Applebee's, baby, that's not for me. So he leaves. He gets Amanda. He goes back to Mariah's house. And as soon as they get there, she's like, no, I told you like this can't happen. This isn't going to happen. He's like, bet that I'm just going to go. I'm just going to leave then. And he goes down to the basement. He packs up his shit and he leaves Mariah's house. And he just leaves without like notice. He like lives there and the rent's coming up. So Mariah, she's freaking out. She's calling over and over like, what's going on? You can't do this to us. We're all friends. How could you like literally fuck me like this? And he eventually says like, don't you worry. I'm going to get you the money. It's no big deal. Like, I'm just going to go. I have plans. And she's like, what are the plans? What sort of plans? What sort of thing is Amanda going to get you wrapped up in? And what kind of trouble are you going to get in? And he's like, don't you worry. Nothing's going on. I'm just moving to Asheville. But that's not exactly where they were headed. They end up sort of in that area, but that wasn't where they were headed initially. And reportedly, Shawn didn't even know where the two of them were going. The two were said to have driven for a while before finally getting a hotel room together. This was on April 2nd so that they could spend the night. April 3rd, the two left, and they actually decided to drive to Shawn's mother's house. I guess it was the house that Shawn's mother, her name was Becky, and his stepdad lived, and he was going there to pick up some like clothes and things that he had stored there. Now, his mother, Becky, was talked to about this after the fact and said that it seemed like a totally normal thing, that Amanda seemed nice. Like, she didn't get out of the car or anything, but she seemed like a nice enough girl. This was the first time they were meeting, but the interaction was brief. Now, that evening, after Shawn and Amanda had left, his stepdad noticed something off, something weird. Well, not even just weird, something scary. And that was that a couple of his guns were missing. And that's because Shawn took them. I guess Shawn literally went in their gun safe, opened it, took some guns out of it. He opened it because he had the code, took some guns out of it, and then closed it, but didn't close it all the way, just closed it till it was like almost closed, and then left with the guns like nothing had ever happened. And it took his parents a while to like notice this because, again, it looked like it was closed and it wasn't a safe they often went into because like Roger, that was his stepdad's name, Roger had this safe for guns. And the guns were used for hunting and he didn't really hunt anymore. So he didn't have a reason to look in there. And he just says that like it was his mistake. It was his mistake for keeping the code the same. I guess the code had been set from the moment he bought it. It was from Walmart. It was just set at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he never changed it because he didn't think he had to. The day after the guns were stolen, those guns and a knife, a large knife, not the knife that Amanda had taken to the gravesite, because when that whole ordeal happened, Mariah actually took that from her so she wouldn't have it. But Shawn went out and bought another knife for Amanda. So that new knife and the guns that they stole, the guns that they stole were used in the commission of a terrible murder. But the body wouldn't be found until the next day. It was about 9:30 p.m. on April 4th when a woman named Ruth came over to the house. So Ruth, I believe, was the neighbor of Charlie and Charlie's dad, so Rex's father and grandfather. And she had come over to the house with the intention, I believe, to give Charlie's dad medicine. Because remember from the reports I read, it sounds like he was in bad shape and maybe even was bedridden. So Ruth called 911 and she told the operator that she had walked over to the house. She had turned on the light in the living room and she saw blood everywhere. And there was blood everywhere. Unfortunately, I did stumble upon crime scene photos of this horrific murder, and it was a very intense sight to see. And she told the operator, like, listen, there's blood everywhere and I haven't touched him, but it's pretty clear that he's not breathing. He's no longer alive. Now, around this time that the 911 call is going to operators, Amanda's mother, Marlena, is also receiving a very cryptic phone call from her daughter. It was around 9 or 10 when Marlena was just at home hanging out at her house in Christiansburg, Virginia, chilling, not killing, when she received a call from her daughter, the type of call that no mother, no person ever wants to get. Amanda was pretty vague during this call, and she just told her mom, like, listen, I love you. I appreciate everything you've done. You've always been a great mom, and I'm sorry for everything I ever did, for all the lies I ever told, but I had to do something bad, Mom, and I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want you to yell at me. Her mom responds to her like, what did you do? Are you hurt? Can you just tell me? Because I can help you. But Amanda says no, she won't tell her what happened. She also won't agree to come back to the house because her mom's like, listen, I'll take care of you. Come back to Christiansburg. I will take care of you. And Amanda said no, that the two of them, her and Shawn, were going to Pittsburgh, Virginia. Now, this had to be very weird for Marlena because during this timeline, she had actually seen Amanda and Shawn. She had seen them that very same day. So in the midst of going out and getting guns and planning a murder, they had actually met up with Marlena that morning, and her, Amanda, and Shawn all went to Walmart together to go get stuff for Amanda's kids' Easter baskets, because Easter was the next day. She has these two little kids, and apparently she just procrastinated like crazy, but I mean, she was in a hospital, not able to do anything. So I guess that makes sense. So she had just seen her daughter that morning, and now she's getting this call with her daughter saying that she did something awful. And it wasn't just Marlena who got this call. Amanda's mother-in-law, so Rex's mother, Melissa, also received a call from Amanda. The call actually came in from a restricted number, but his mom immediately knew. Well, I guess it is her mom too. It's her mother-in-law. Immediately, Melissa knew that it was Amanda, and Amanda told Melissa that she killed someone and that she couldn't help herself and that she just couldn't stop stabbing this person. Now, obviously, Melissa knows who she's talking about by this time, and she just tells her, like, you've got to stop. She told her, like, it's not just about you. You have your kids to think about. And Amanda just told her, like, listen, I'm never going to see my kids again, and I am not going out of this world alive. Which, it could be argued that none of us are getting out of this world alive. But, she was probably in a heightened state of mind and didn't realize that that statement wasn't as profound as she had planned. Anyways, Melissa just begged her to give up, to not hurt anybody else. And Amanda said she didn't plan to hurt anybody else. But if police did try to arrest her, she was going to go down shooting because, again, she wasn't getting out of this alive. And they could have done this. They had the ammo to put up a fight, a firefight. It was a firefight. Apparently, shortly after the murder, Amanda and Shawn had gone to Dick's sporting goods store and bought more ammo. They bought 2 boxes of 17 HMR caliber, and surveillance footage actually showed this purchase. They were able to see it. And they also had found surveillance footage of the two filling up gas during the time that they were on the run, and also the receipt, like the record of them staying in that hotel. Anyways, as I'm sure you can imagine, a manhunt was underway because Amanda was linked to Charlie's murder, and they were able to connect the fact that Amanda and Shawn were together. So the police were out there actively looking for Amanda and Shawn. But it would end up just being Amanda who got taken into custody because, she got pulled over in the Jeep and everything, because she quickly let the world know that Shawn was dead. But I am getting ahead of myself here a little bit, so let's backtrack a little. Or not backtrack, let's just take a step back. I guess it is backtracking. Let's go back a second because I'm getting ahead of myself. So shortly after going on the run, Amanda started to post things on social media, and that's actually what ended up getting this case, I believe, so much traction. She is referred to as the Selfie Killer, and we will get into the specific selfie that made this case so notable. But before that was even taken, she was posting not before that was taken, before that was posted online, she was posting other things. Now, one of the first things she posted, which was definitely telling of her mindset during this time with her being on the run, was a post where she had put photos. It was actually hers and Shawn's mugshot because they had both been arrested previously. I've seen in so many forums, because obviously I'm researching this case and looking in forums for local people, so many people were very confused because in the mugshot they were using of her tattoo wasn't finished, but then when she was being interviewed by police and in jail and stuff, her tattoo was finished. This was an old mugshot from a previous arrest. So she posted hers and Shawn's mugshot along with the words, quote, "Everything I did was for the right reasons. I stabbed my father-in-law to death because he destroyed my husband with drugs, depressions. I wasn't the perfect wife, but this was the last good thing I could do for Rex. I don't care what anyone thinks. I loved Rex more than the world. This was for you. Shawn's dead, but I finally have closure with Rex after Charlie. If you keep looking for me, more will die. Just let me go to the place Rex and I always wanted, and I'll be free without having to kill more. Till we rot, Rex. till we fucking rot. Amanda also posted on Facebook saying that like she loved her children, right? She's justifying like loving her children, but then justifying loving her children. She's telling you that she loves her children, then goes on to justify the murder that she committed, just saying that Charlie murdered her husband. Which all of this was hard for Rex's family to read, you know, to have her blaming him or doing this in the name of him, killing his father in the name of him, and then killing Shawn, you know, it was really hard for them to read. They hated that she was using Rex as a justification for what she was doing. And his mother, Melissa, did give a statement where she said that basically Amanda said that she found a letter that Rex had written before he died and that it was addressed to Amanda. And that in the letter, he had told her about a bunch of shitty things that Charlie had done. And she said that she talked to Amanda during all this, when all this was going on, and Amanda was crying to her and just told her like she had to do this. She said she had to kill Charlie for closure. She had to kill Charlie for Rex, and that he deserved to die because of what he put Rex through. But obviously Rex's mother, Melissa, disagrees with this and put out a statement where she said, quote, "She chose to do what she done. My son did not tell her to do that. He was gone. My son may have done things we don't understand, may never understand, but my son was not a killer. He was not an evil person." But Amanda was saying that she was doing all of this for Rex, and she was saying that she just wanted to go and be with Rex. Amanda did go on to make another post, and in the next post, there was a photo of a gun. One of the guns, I believe, that was stolen from Shawn's parents' house, because I don't think they got any other guns. And alongside the photo of this gun, she wrote, quote, "All right, it's about that time. I'm going to go find my husband in hell and finally be at peace. I love you, Mom, and my beautiful crazies. I know you'll give them the life I just couldn't after everything. Mariah, I'll always love you and those monsters. I can't apologize because I'm finally going to be free." But she would not have peace. So let's now talk about her shooting Shawn, her getting brought into custody, and then her confession. So after the murder, Amanda and Shawn went on the run. They fled the scene, right? And they headed towards Tennessee, stopping at a hotel in Bristol. And apparently it was a very disgusting hotel. According to Amanda, it was a very disgusting hotel, which I was like, disgusting hotel for a disgusting person? Makes sense. Anyways, they get to the hotel, they take out all their guns and all their ammo into the hotel because they were like, we don't know what's going to happen. People may show up. We may need to rock and to roll. So they brought everything in with them, but then nothing did happen over the night. So the next day they loaded everything up again and were in the wind. Now, while on the run, they quickly realized that they were running out of options. So Amanda tells Shawn that he needs to make a choice, that he has two options here, that they have two options here. They either need to kill more people so they can like rob them and stuff, or they need to turn themselves in. This is her mindset, that these are their only two options. They're running out of money. They don't have food. They need food and gas, right? So she's like, okay, we have to kill some people, take their money, get food and get gas, or just turn ourselves in because like, that's it. And she says she told Shawn this and he didn't respond to her. But apparently that's not entirely true. So what happened is they had this conversation, yes, and Amanda, she was driving. She pulls off to a rest stop. And when they get to the rest stop, she sees that there are two like teenage college-age girls there. So she tells Shawn, like, they're perfect. We need to kill them. I want to bring them over so that you can kill them for me. So she gets out and she goes over and starts talking to the girls and realizes that they're there and they're on spring break and they don't know where they are, which means no one else knows where they are. So it's perfect. So she brings these girls over to the Jeep. I don't know what exactly she said to them, like what they thought was happening, but she brings them over so that Shawn can attack them. But when Amanda brought them over, she did not get her way. Shawn did not attack them. He couldn't do it. He said he couldn't disappoint his mother anymore. So Amanda got pissed, as I'm sure you can imagine. She seems like the type of person who wants what she wants when she wants it. I mean, it could be argued everybody wants what they want when they want it, but she was to the extreme, especially at this time in her life. So she, gets in the car all pissy, throwing a little fit, speeds off and leaves the girls in the wind. Everybody's in the wind. She just leaves them there. And I can't imagine what they were thinking. Like they walk over and this girl gets pissed and just like takes off after hearing like, I can't disappoint my mom anymore. It sounds very scary and dramatic, but that's what happened. And it was after this that things got a lot more intense. Well, it was already intense, but it got more intense between Shawn and Amanda. Now, what she says happened is that after the two killed Charlie, Shawn was not doing well mentally at all. Apparently, he had a really difficult time with what they did, with dealing with what they did. So after that, he was really out of it. He was writing a goodbye letter to his mom because he was planning to take his own life, and he had taken a bunch of pills. I guess Amanda said in like her interview that she had a bunch of pills, like anxiety and depression medication from when she had been in the hospital just like a couple days prior, and that Shawn had taken like a lot of it. She said that he was really messed up because of all the pills he had taken. So she took this opportunity to drive over to Blue Ridge Parkway because she wanted to be in an area where nobody could see her, and this area was perfect. And she was going there to hurt Shawn because he was just making her so mad. She basically said that what he was doing went completely against everything that they had been working towards as a duo, right? Like the whole reason she wanted to kill Charlie is because he ruined her husband's life with drugs. Drugs was like this motivating factor, even though she herself had been arrested for making meth all those years ago, whatever. But so she's pissed at Charlie because of the drug situation. And now Shawn's here taking drugs in front of her, and it is pissing her off. She's like, this is bullshit. He's also a liability to her at this point because he's so high that he can't help her. Like he's supposed to navigate or something. And she's just driving around these states in circles. So she drove down that dirt road that we talked about in the beginning, the one where there was nothing, no homes, no signs, just trees, and one lone jogger. She said while on that road, Shawn got sick. So she pulled over to the road because he was like throwing up on himself. And she was enraged. She gets out of the car with the gun in her hand. And at this moment, that jogger runs by their Jeep and she sees this girl, it's a girl, run by the Jeep and is like, well, you know what I should do? I should just shoot this person. So she raises her gun and she fires at this girl, a girl she doesn't even know just because she's jogging by. Because she says at this point she plans to kill Shawn and she's worried that this girl will hear the shot and go and report it and that they'll get caught. So she just shoots her, this person she doesn't even know. Now, luckily, police never recovered this jogger. So Amanda says that she aimed at her, she shot at her, and that the girl fell, but that she never actually saw a bullet hit her or like blood or anything. So I have no idea what happened here. Was this even real? Like, who was this girl? Is she okay? Was she just faking it? I don't know. But luckily, this wasn't another person that Amanda killed. That the silver lining is that this girl's alive, if she even existed. I don't think I didn't see anything about them tracking her down. Later, the cops asked Amanda, like, did you see where you shot this girl? And she said no, that after she shot her, she just immediately turned her attention on Shawn. She was pissed at him. She looked him in his face, and he's all out of it at this point on the pills that he had taken. And she tells him, I used you. I used you for your car. I used you for your money. I used you for your guns. And then she took the gun, she aimed it at his face, and she fired at him at point blank range. So she killed Charlie. She shot at and tried to kill a random female jogger, and she had shot Shawn in the face, leaving him on the side of the road for dead. But little did she know he would survive and he would start talking. But we're going to get into all of that next week. I know, a two-parter. I don't do a lot of two-parters, but this case is very long. There was a lot to it, a lot to go through. So I wanted to break it into 2 videos to make it easier to digest and make it possible for me to film. Because you may notice that this video alone took 2 days to film, and that's why I no longer have my sick-ass green multi-chrome eyeliner on. Because today I'm going to the LA Fair, and I want it to be a little bit chiller with the face. But with that, my friends, is the story of the murder of Charles Taylor. I hope you found it informative, and I hope I gave you all the information you would want when looking into this case so far. And of course, I just want to thank you for hanging out and remembering Charles with me today. Now, considering everything I told you throughout this video, I want to revisit the question of the day. I want to know what you think about what I wanted to ask you. And the question of the day was this. Do you think if Amanda had been kept in the hospital and had gotten the mental health treatment that she needed, because she did need it, I think that that's clear. Do you think that this murder spree would have happened? Do you think that she would have killed Charles? Do you think that she would go on to kill or try to kill other people? Like, was this something that she had in her that would have happened eventually, or could this have been nipped in the bud? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, because I'm curious as to what you think so far before we get into her confession and you hear everything she has to say and about how she literally doesn't give a fuck. But what's your initial impression? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, guys, before you leave, please don't forget to leave me a comment down below with whatever case you'd like to see in the future. As you know, I have a long list of cases, and whenever you leave me a case suggestion, I put it on the list with your name next to it. So if I cover it, I can give you a shout out like in this case. I love looking into the cases you guys suggest because they're often cases I haven't heard of or cases that need more coverage. And I know you're filled with great ideas and great taste. Otherwise, you would not be here. If you haven't already, please don't forget to join the Brat Pack by subscribing and ringing that bell. I put out new videos every single week, sometimes 2 a week, and I would love to hang out with you. Yes, you specifically you, but I can only do that if you join the Brat Pack and become one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. And if you want to hang out more consistently, all my social media is listed down below, along with a link to my membership and a link to my merch store. And now with all of that said, I just want to thank you for being here when you could literally be anywhere else in the world. That is tight. You are tight. Please stay safe and be a better person than you were yesterday. And I hope to see you in my next video.